Welcome back to the Do Not Disturb podcast. I'm your host, Sujay Mehta, and this is a podcast where we block out the noise, we focus on our craft, and we continue building. Because here we remember that the journey is the dream. I'm very excited to welcome Pooja here today on the podcast. Pooja is a new entrepreneur. She just opened her yoga studio not too long ago. But more than that, the reason I wanted to bring Pooja onto the show is because of her journey with mental health, along with becoming an entrepreneur. And she goes through that journey with such grace, and it's truly an inspiration for me and so many other people. And I think this episode is going to be great because it really peels back the curtain and shows us that mental health is really more common than we realize. And especially as an entrepreneur, a lot of us may be going through this kind of journey ourselves, right? And I'm very, very excited to share this stage with Pooja. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
A quick background on me. I'm born and brought up in Arizona. And I was brought here by my husband, also one of Sujay's dearest friends. And we've been in Ohio now almost 9 years. And my career background was a school teacher. So I was teaching, and that was the goal, is to go back into teaching after we got married. And life had other plans. And I kept putting it off. I was like, oh, I'll get my license. I'll go to school. I'll do it. And then life had other plans, and we just never did it. And then COVID hit and we decided to start our family. And when I started, my journey into motherhood, that's when things really shifted for me. I was already struggling with my own identity after not being a school teacher. I was at home most of my day. And I would watch Alap, do his career with passion and love what he was doing. And I felt very lost. And so coming into motherhood, already feeling a little bit lost, brought on a lot more than I had expected. And I struggled very deeply with postpartum depression. And it was then that yoga, which has always been a part of my life, really came back and took a forefront. And stepping on my mat, I went back to training. I became certified to teach. And one thing, long story, led to another. I, out of no preconceived, idea or thought, wanted to open a business. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm steady. I can teach and practice and then go home. My studio then shut down. And I was like, well, what are we going to do? The type of yoga, the series of yoga that we practice at Union is formerly known as Bikram yoga, now 26 and 2 or original 90, is not really practiced around here in Ohio. And so I was like, well, there's nowhere around me that teaches it or practices it. So what am I going to do? And it was in that moment where I was like, well, I guess we're just going to try this out and we'll venture into opening up our own space. And there was a lot of other factors that played into me settling my roots here into Columbus. They've been really pushing against that. And so this was sort of the okay, let's do it. And we decided to open. We got a space in Powell, renovated it, and opened in January. And now Union Yoga is coming up on 1 year.
Yeah, that's insane. I still remember the studio, doing the renovations. I mean, even just some of the artistic elements that are there and going and seeing the progress videos and pictures and all the things, and it's already almost a year. Yeah. That's incredible. Great. So I want to touch on a couple things. So one, most people who are teachers, right? Or pursue a career in teaching are super passionate about teaching, right? That's what they want to do. And you obviously, you got your master's in Columbia, right? Columbia, which is no joke, right? And you practiced there for a little bit. And you were at a really nice school over there. I remember a lot of celebrities and and things like that. So we won't name any of them, but no, you were super passionate about it then. What changed when you came to Columbus? Usually if you're super passionate about
Yeah.
something and you love it day in, day out,
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna get through whatever
Yeah.
obstacle or whatever hurdle there is. I mean, relicensing, moving states, you're gonna go through it. But like, why the pause? Why?
You know, I've never really thought about why the pause, but when we got married, we had decided like maybe Cleveland or maybe Ohio in general isn't going to be permanent for
Yeah.
us. And so I remember having those conversations early on in our marriage, like, oh, maybe we could move here or move there.
Yeah.
So, like, why should I go through all of my licensing if we're not permanent here? And one thing, you know, just kind of Alap's career was important, is important. And at that point, I had had these great years in New York. And I was like, okay, let's let him shine now. Let him get his feet wet, figure out where he wants to take his career. I can take a time off. And honestly, it was really exciting because I had graduated from college, went to New York, taught for 3 years, planned a wedding, and then moved to Ohio. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll bring, you know, some free time.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize is that free time and being home in the dead of winter in Cleveland was going to bring on depression. And it did. And those, I would say, first 6 months to a year of our marriage were really challenging for us because it was really hard for me to get out and get up and get
Yeah.
going to then put myself towards figuring out my next step, right? I would open it up on the laptop, you know, email, figure out what I needed to do and all of the things. And then something would get a hold of me in my head and I'm like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And that sort of process kept happening and kept happening and kept happening until I finally just was like, I need to close the chapter. Like,
Yeah.
I just need to be done with it. If maybe in 10 years, if it's like I need to go back to teaching, I'll figure it out then. But right now, just close the chapter. It was doing more harm mentally
Yeah.
than it was good.
Like identifying yourself as a teacher
Yeah.
who's not teaching.
Yeah. And just, you know, like stepping out of like, I don't know why this slump started to happen mentally. Just stepping out of that was really hard, right? I
Yeah.
still loved teaching. I loved you know, kids. I was in touch with all of my friends who were teaching and I was envious of them. They were teaching and loving what they were doing. Some of the teachers I still talk to, you know, they're on 10th year, 12th year of teaching. And I am envious of that because that's what I had envisioned.
Yeah.
And so when it didn't happen, to no fault of anyone, just me, it just wasn't happening. And
Yeah.
I just couldn't get over the hump. And I still don't know why, like what it was about all of that that I couldn't get over the hump
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go back to teaching.
And you know, it's crazy. Like sometimes you know, we're quick to judge, right? And we see like, oh, this person is XYZ and they're not doing X, Y, and Z. But really for you, like the decision wasn't even about teaching. It's not like you weren't passionate about it. It's not like you didn't want to teach, but it was something else,
Yeah.
right? It was something else in life. Like you didn't know if this was permanent, if living in Ohio was permanent for
Yeah.
you. You didn't know if you maybe even finding a job teaching here would then make it permanent when you didn't
Mhm.
want it to be permanent. Like
Yeah.
whether that's true or not.
Yeah.
But there's so many other things at play, and oftentimes we do judge, and we're all guilty of it,
Yeah.
right? At some point or another. But we do judge a book, right,
Yeah.
by a cover, and even our own stories, right? So
Mhm.
it's just crazy to think about how there's like so many other things
Yes.
at play, and this is honestly the first time we're having this conversation this
Yeah.
deep as well. So
Yeah.
so you know, like obviously those were tough times
Mhm.
for you. And then now like going in and finding a new passion. It's kind of cool. I was thinking about this, but you're still teaching,
Yes.
right? You're not teaching in the traditional sense at a
Yeah.
school, but you're teaching at a yoga
Different
studio,
program, yeah.
right? And so what, like you were a student of yoga.
Mhm.
What triggered in your mind and told you that you could teach yoga? Because a lot of people have this like imposter syndrome
Yeah.
that happens, especially when you're like a student and then you go into teaching. You know, what made you feel like you have the credibility to be
Yeah.
able to go into it?
To be honest, there was never like a oh, I could teach. So if we backtrack to about 2021, September, in September of 2021, I was able to put a title to how I was feeling, postpartum depression. And it was a really, really tough time. You know, we have this beautiful daughter where she's healthy, she's happy,
She's the best.
she's the best, right? And I am struggling with nothing else but myself, right? You know, all the things moms go through, nursing, sleeping, taking care of ourselves, postpartum in general, right?
Yeah.
The hormones, no one really talks about that. So my hormones and all the things, I hit rock bottom to the point where I felt I had failed in
Yeah.
every capacity, right? As a mom, as a wife, as a sister, as a friend, all of it, right? Ooh, sorry. And I was just like, I failed. This is how it's gonna be. This is it.
Yeah.
And when I shared this with my parents, obviously they were shocked because they were like, wow, we didn't know you been taking care of Leela for the last 9 months, 10 months. You haven't shown it. And when I shared that I was in therapy, at that point, my dad was like, okay, let's do something. Let's get you out. Let's get you back into something that makes you happy. And
Yeah.
so he and my mom were planning to go to a yoga retreat in 2022. And so he was like, we're all going to go. Me, you, Benny, my older sister, and mom. Like, the four of us are going to go. And, I was terrified leaving all up alone with Leela for the first time. I was like, no, I shouldn't go. I shouldn't go. Like, a lot of guilt around it. And so I went. And we were on an island in Belize. It was beautiful. And we did a lot of workshops. And through those workshops, I was able to kind of, pull through and pick apart what's really been bothering me. And honestly, there was not any moment or just anything that happened. It literally just floated into my head. Hey, why don't you go to teacher training and learn more about yoga? And there was nothing about, oh, I want to teach. It was like, I just want to learn about
Yeah.
yoga. I'm interested in it. This comes from my country, right? And I just want to learn. Let's start there. Let's just learn. And so came home. I shared this with Alap, and we dove right in. He supported me from the get-go. It was a very intense training from 2022, not 2002, of June until November of that year. I was flying back and forth to Phoenix.
So real quick, I want to
Yeah.
pause you real quick. So the retreat
Yeah.
that happened in Belize, right? It was a yoga retreat.
Yeah.
And so when you said I want to go into training,
Yeah.
right? Teacher training.
Yeah.
That was like for a specific program that's based in Arizona, or you could do it anywhere, or
So you can do it anywhere.
Okay.
So the reason I picked Phoenix was because that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
The home studio that I grew up going to, where I learned 26 and 2 when I started practicing in 2007. That's where I learned it from.
Okay.
And those were the people who I felt very comfortable with. My dad still practices there. So they, in extension, are family. And so when the thought came into my head, I picked Phoenix because I was comfortable there.
Yeah.
And they had, a variety of different trainings you can take. So it's yoga or Pilates or HIIT, meditation, a very vast amount of training. So it's not just one.
Yeah.
I picked the 90-minute 26 and 2 series specifically. And it's crazy because I don't know why I picked it.
It's one of the hardest.
It's one of the hardest. And yet I was like, I need a challenge.
Yeah.
And so that was why I picked that particular series.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then you started your training.
Yeah.
And then
So I started my training in June of 2022, and I flew back and forth from Phoenix, and finished my training in November of 2022. Before that, in September, so a year after, I'm telling myself I have postpartum depression, almost a year to the date, I taught my first class.
Yeah. Wow.
At a studio.
Yeah.
And I'm actually never really said this, but that year, I stepped so out of my comfort zone, and I was like a different person.
Yeah.
And maybe people see it, maybe people don't see it, but I see it that like in a year, right? You step out of your comfort zone, you push yourself to the brink of like, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
And yet like you come out so much stronger. And so to have that kind of in my memory of like 1 year, so much can change.
Yeah.
And then so 2022 I finished out all of my training and certification and all that. And then I was teaching. I was teaching at a studio down in Grandview, and 30-minute commute back and forth, which was challenging, but Alap was working from home at that point. So with Leela, we could make it work that I could go teach and practice and still be home. And that was how it was, 2022, 23, 24 until the studio shut down.
Wait, so you started teaching, and I think if I remember correctly, that's close to when number 2 came as well, right?
Aman was born in 2024. So last year.
Aman was born last year. No, but you became pregnant, I think.
2023.
Okay, and you started teaching when?
2022.
Oh, 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had a year
Yes.
of
Yeah.
of teaching.
Actually not even a year, because that was September 22. Aman, we got pregnant in May of 2023.
Yeah, because that's what I remember is like you had just started teaching, and the family was like, oh, Pooja, new career, like she's teaching yoga, and then obviously like pregnancy, again, and so one of the things that like just obviously hearing the story, and then we have a 1-year-old, and so one of the things in the past year for me that I've really learned, a couple years, just so much family and like people going through pregnancy and mothers, is like the respect that I have for women, especially women who are pursuing a career, or staying at home, but like just everything, like everything changes, and it's not always planned to the T, right? Like it's not like this day I'm going to be able to do this. We're going to be able to adjust this way. It just happens. And especially your first, right? Like you have no idea what to expect. You don't know if it's going to be smooth, if it's going to be hard, the first trimester is going to be easy or not. Even logistics. I remember thinking, Joldy was like, oh, should we look into nanny this? I was like, I'll work with him on my shoulder. It's all good. And now I'm like, next week, my mom's like going out of town, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, it's just like, I'm not going to get any work done. Right. But it's like, it's such a sacrifice. And going back to the point of this is like, I have so much respect for you, for all like the mothers out there. And I don't think like the world says it enough. But I think it's like, it's so incredible to be able to go through this journey. And even a lot of the hardships that come with it, and enduring that and shouldering that. So I think that's absolutely amazing. Do you, like going back, is there anything like now, right? Like you're where you are now, like mentally, you're in a much better place. What would you tell yourself, going back in time? Is there anything that you would tell yourself?
How far back?
Just in that time, right? Like really in the thick of things. Is there anything that you would tell yourself to kind of help you through it? Is there a way, or is there anything that someone can hear that can help them in that moment?
I think looking back, and something I must have said to myself, because I got through it, is that this is all temporary. And I use that saying in a lot of spaces in my life. Motherhood, right? Life with kids is always challenging. You've got all the things that come up. So that's temporary. Life in general, things happen, right? We all go through challenging times, and it's temporary. You just have to kind of weather the storm. Looking back, I think I wish I would have just leaned into my strengths a little bit more. I was very hard on myself, and I was like, you have to do everything. You have to work. You have to be a mom. You have to be a wife. You have to be a sister. You have to be a friend. You have to be everything. But at the core of it, you have to be you. And so just lean into who you are and let that be your comfort. I think there's always a way out. It's how much are you willing to communicate and share, right? I could have easily held it in, kept it from Alap, kept it from my parents, kept it from my community, right? I shared it that this is what I'm going through. And it's very easy to just shut down, to be a shell. And sometimes it's easier, but I often believe that it's harder, right? Because you're weathering that storm alone. And we don't give our village enough credit. That it's not just for kids, it's for us also, right? And so leaning in on the people around us. And I think whether you find solace in therapy or movement or sports, whatever that outlet is for you, you have to tap into it, right? And that no one else can do for you, right? We can support and say, hey, like, hey, let's go watch a football
Yeah.
game, or oh, let's go ride a bike, or whatever fills you up, but you have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can support, but you have to do it. And that's what I would say is lean on the people around you. Doesn't have to be 75 people. It can be 2 people, and
Yeah.
that they know who you are. They know that this is a tough time, and they just need to kind of hold your hand, support you, and walk you through it. I think everyone has a way out. I know, tomorrow's World Mental Health Day,
Oh,
and there are people who struggle a lot deeper,
yeah.
and sometimes it is harder, right? And not we all may not have those resources of like a village close by, or doing the things that we love. But I just would want people to know, anyone, that there's always a way out. You just have to ask for help.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. And oftentimes it's not black and white,
Yeah.
right? It's not like, oh, I'm struggling or I'm not, right? Like there's gray areas,
Yes.
there's degrees of gray, there's like seasonal, right? Like a day could be bad, right? So, you talked about like you have to really start walking. You got to
Mhm.
start going down the path,
Yeah.
and then people can join you and support you and be
Yeah.
there. And obviously you have to tell them. But for someone who could have been there for you
Yeah.
earlier, right? What is something that I could have done or I should have said? And, I say
Yeah.
should have because I can, because I'm your
Yeah.
brother and you can
Yeah.
tell me this. But, like, what can someone do? And you said tomorrow's,
World Mental Health Day.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
think, anyone can always reach out, right? A
yeah,
text, a call, you show up at someone's door. The person receiving it never wants to be a burden, right?
yeah,
So I know you and I have had this conversation, like, what can I do? And it's like, you're already doing it. I just don't want to burden you with my weight.
yeah,
And and that's okay to feel that way. However, if that person wants to show up for you, and they're showing you, like, I'm here,
yeah,
it's okay to share that weight,
yeah,
right? Um, I don't think there's ever a wrong thing to say or wrong thing to do when it comes out of love,
yeah,
right? When you're there to support and just be there for someone. We all live lives that take us in different directions. And so, simple phone call, simple text message, hey, I'm thinking about you. How are you doing? Can go a very long way. And it doesn't have to be grand gestures. And that's what I think people
yeah,
believe, right? That it has to be like X, Y, and Z happened. But no, it's like, hey, I'm just going to call you because I miss you and I
yeah.
want to talk to you. And so I think when it comes from a place of love and support, and I'm watching out for you, there's no wrong or right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And oftentimes, like starting something, a new career, business, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, and your challenges aren't done
Yeah.
yet either,
No.
It's even starting the yoga studio had its own challenges, own stresses.
Mhm.
Even for me in my business, real estate, every day,
Yeah.
like we have struggle and we have challenges. And so you never know who's going through what. And
Yeah.
so I guess, it safer, always smile,
Yeah.
always smile at people, reach
Yeah.
out. If you think of someone, send them a text, let
Yeah.
them know.
Yeah.
You never know like whose life you could be touching at what
Exactly.
moment in their life. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
think
always
that's,
end a yoga class with 2 things. Be kind to one another, and don't let anyone steal your peace,
yeah,
because your peace is yours, but we can always be kind to one another.
yeah,
And you just never know what
yeah.
anyone's going through.
No, that's amazing. So, now kind of like shifting a
Yeah.
little bit into like the yoga studio, because I definitely want to talk about that a little bit. So, how has it been so far? Like first year,
Yeah.
just reflecting on the first year of becoming like a business owner,
Yeah.
right? So, what is that? There's something that like you didn't expect over the last year, and it could be even something small like the accounting or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Well, what are things that like you were surprises that you didn't expect? Could be good, could be bad.
Oh man. Okay. Something that I didn't expect was the amount of feedback I would get, and both good and bad. Everyone has an opinion,
Yep.
which is fine. They're entitled to it. However, I didn't always think it would reach my ears, but it does. And so learning to kind of take it, read it, listen to it, and then process it and either move on or act on it. Don't sit and harp on it. So that's something that really surprised me. And it took me, is still taking me time to like not take things so personally.
Yeah.
I think just, yes, like I think you hit it on your head, like accounting, like how much money do we have? Like, can we pay for this? Can we do that? Do we have the, finances to, X, Y, and Z? Those things obviously surprise you. I think also just stepping into like a leadership role. Everyone at Union, the community, the teachers have all been very supportive, understanding that this is new. I'm still learning. I will make mistakes. I will have hiccups. So they've all been understanding in that regard. But for me, it's just stepping into that leadership role and trusting myself, because that's like I'm making the decisions that affect the whole community. So I think those are the things that have really kind of come out at me.
Yeah, and I'm sure some things that you expected, like you would have to make decisions, you'd have to be a
Yes.
leader, but to what level? To what extent? What's the ripple effect of every little decision that you make? But one thing that I have noticed about you that I think I love about the way you guys are running it is you guys are open to experimenting.
Yeah.
And just like you said, everything is temporary,
Yep.
right? You mentioned that, and shanikam we say,
Yeah.
right? So everything is temporary, and even for us in our business,
Yeah.
like don't be afraid to experiment.
Try. Yeah. You won't know until you try. Either the idea will take off and it'll change the trajectory, or it might flop and you're like, okay, well, at least I tried. I
Yeah.
know. You said this earlier, like the struggles, right? Like you're in a business of competitors. So staying relevant, staying in line with your competitors without losing and compromising what your business is. And
Yeah.
I think that's something I had to learn also, is like we are in a space where boutique fitness, studios, fitness in general it's coming up, right?
Yeah.
So many different options, so many different spaces, and all are great. There's no right or wrong here. But how do you stay true to your vision, your value, what you're wanting to provide to the people? And so I think, yeah, it's every day is you wake up, you're like, okay, I'm going to try this. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it's going to flop, and you just keep going.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that's huge. So what is it about Union Yoga though that does make Union Yoga so special and the best yoga studio?
I don't know if I can say we're the best yet.
I can.
Hopefully.
I can.
Thank you. I think what makes Union unique is that I'm not here, and the teachers certainly are not here to make this a fad or a trend, right? When the teachers come into Union and teach, or when I go to teach, it's about the authenticity of the movement. Like, are you coming onto your mat to simply get your heart rate up or have the more physical benefits? Or are you coming for the mental, the space where you can be in touch with yourself, right? So I think that's what makes Union different, is that we're not about the crazy inversion postures. I'm all about being very aligned with yourself, your mental health, your mental strength. And then the physical benefits are kind of a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
I'm also about Union being a place where we leave students better than we received them. So I think, again, not saying that all studios don't do that, but I think we really strive for that
Yeah.
sort of student first center.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And yoga has become like such a fashion, right?
Yes.
Like yoga pants, this,
Yes,
that,
all of
whatever.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, right? So yoga has become such a fashion, especially here in the
Yeah.
West, right? And I think it's cool that to see that you're going kind of back to the roots. So
Yeah.
for people who like don't even know what yoga is in like
Yeah.
the truest sense, are you able to like kind of elaborate on that? Like from like
I'm
a
no expert.
yeah, slightly philosophical
Yeah.
level though.
So yoga, yes, it is asana. So that's postures, right? It is physical movement, but it's the movement of the breath and body, right? So you're moving in connection. You're not just going like up, down, side to side. You're moving with inhales and exhales, and each movement is there to strengthen your body. The breath is there to help you calm your mind, be present with what you're doing. And so yoga has so many different elements to it, right? It it's a very vast, very um, deep practice, and
Yeah.
even I haven't even scratched the surface. And that's something I have been trying to instill in myself is keep learning, right? Because I'm not an expert, and I
Yeah.
never want to come off like that. But yoga is bringing in that physical aspect and the mental aspect to be one and still receive benefits internally and externally. And you can go very deep into this topic, but I think just if you're new, never tried yoga, it takes time to find the movement within yoga that fits you because yes, there are so many studios, so many different types of yoga. You have to find what works for you. And you have to understand your body for that, right? Because some students can come on the mat and they can practice. They love the heart rate getting up, they love the sweat, but then they're not really doing the asanas. They're not really sitting into the posture and finding stillness. Whereas some students love the stillness and they love the quiet
Yeah.
and they don't like the fast. So you have to find what works for you within yoga. And there's a lot to be said, a lot to be said, and a lot to be learned as well. So I think just finding that balance between breath and movement will help you achieve a strong yoga practice.
Is that where the name Union kind of
Yeah.
came from?
Yeah. So when we were coming up with names, I side tangent, love marigolds, and that's my birth flower. And so I was like, marigold yoga. And then I was like, I don't really like that. And then
I'm glad you didn't choose marigold
I
yoga.
was like, marigold doesn't really roll off the tongue. And then names were hard, right?
Yeah.
Like you're naming something that you're putting out into the world. It's like naming a kid. And I remember like we were just talking about the meaning of yoga, like what does it mean? And I remember reading unity as one of the, meanings of yoga. And I was like, unity yoga. I don't know if I like that. And then, Alap and I were just bantering back and forth and it was like union yoga. And we were like, union yoga? And I know it essentially means yoga, but I like that it says union because it's about the unity of your mind, your body in one.
I think that's awesome. Yeah. Naming something is difficult. I think we changed the name of this podcast like 4 times. And then it's like you find one you like and it's like, damn, there's another podcast with the name, right? Like that I'm sure happened too. Is like there's the website's taken or the URL is taken,
the
right?
Instagram was taken.
Yep. So
yeah.
That's tough. And I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's way better than your option 2. Yeah.
Hey, marigold.
Yeah, but you would have stood out.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have worked out. Maybe your third child.
What?
Yeah, marigold.
Not naming a kid marigold. Not having a third kid.
Yeah, union's enough for your third, right? So no, I think that's awesome. So I want to ask you a little bit of like kind of unhinged.
Yes.
So what do you think about goat yoga?
I don't like it.
Okay. All right. And all these other random things.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think it's one, I love animals. Don't get me wrong. I have my dog at home, Lucky, I love him. But I think bringing an animal into yoga, it just feels very wrong.
Yeah.
It feels, I don't want to use the word insulting, but it feels just kind of like, why?
What are we doing?
Yeah. Why? Like, why does everything need to be attached to something else? Like, let's just let yoga be yoga and let animals be animals.
Goats be goats. Yeah.
Let goats be goats. Yeah. No, I find it makes me very angry.
Yeah. I'm and I want to hear it. I want to.
And I guess people enjoy it. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't think Union will ever be hosting goat yoga, dog yoga, puppy yoga, any animal yoga. I think also I've seen beer
Beer yoga,
yoga.
yeah.
I I just find it like, yeah, insulting a little
Yeah.
bit because, if anything else was attached to it, like if it wasn't yoga, it was like something else, I'm sure there would be a lot to be said about it,
Yeah.
right? But so why is it okay to do it to yoga?
Yeah. And I think understanding a little bit of like the spiritual context
Yes.
of like where yoga comes from too
Yeah.
is like kind of why you feel so and I feel so deeply about
Yeah.
it. Cuz yoga has a very special place in our like Eastern
Yes.
like history and
Yeah.
our culture,
Yeah. And I
spirituality.
I I think if you're curious about yoga, right, and the history of it, there's a lot of great conversations about like appropriation versus appreciation. And so where are you falling in that? And I think that can go for a lot of things in our day-to-day life. Like where is the history of the things that we're doing? Are we being are we appreciating them, or are we just doing it because we want to do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think yoga is a really big topic where are we being honest? Are we being truthful on how we approach yoga? Are we being respectful? Or are we just doing it because that's what the fad is doing and that's what's shown on Instagram? And so I struggle with it deeply,
Yeah.
right? We talked about imposter syndrome, and people say like, "Oh, you should just post, you should do virtual yoga, you should post on Instagram like your classes." And it just feels very like counterintuitive to
Yeah.
me. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
A
go on.
little bit of fighting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, no, I love this. I think it's awesome, and I love. Actually, I didn't realize how, um, deeply connected to like the actual meaning of yoga you actually were as well, and so I think it's amazing, and I think we need more studios like this that actually are practicing yoga in its truest sense and
Yeah.
not just for the fashion. And if you are going to those things and whatever, fine, but
Yeah.
just know it's like for fun
Yeah.
or just like it's like going to a circus, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not, you're
Not
not
my
really
words.
practicing yoga.
Sujay said
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I can say it. Come at me. You know,
Yeah.
all the other yoga
Well, and it's
students.
funny you say that because I recently read a quote that said, if you're doing yoga and you're not holding your postures in stillness, you're just a circus,
Yeah.
right? Yoga is very much finding that moment of just like, okay, I'm here, I'm breathing, my body is, this is spicy, this feels great, all the things, but you're breathing,
Yeah.
you're connecting, and then you're going to move out of it, right? And it's like we fail to find that stillness. And yes, yoga has just become a circus.
Yeah. That's awesome. So if someone were to like practice yoga in the
Mhm.
right way, the truest way, and they had this like union between breathing, body movement, time,
Yeah.
just like having that true just like you're there, that
Hmm.
presence and ability to like kind of pinpoint it. Like what would they feel, like how would they, would do you think that there would be like a quantitative like
Hmm.
just something that you could be like, oh wow, like I've changed or
Yeah.
like I am changing, like
Yeah.
what is that in your like day-to-day life that I would be able to say like, oh wow, like this is, I attribute this
To
to
yoga, yes.
yoga.
So I think you can't put like a quantitative number on it, but I think finding a practice, right, that works for you and your body allows for you to come onto your mat, and finding that connection takes time. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen in one practice, two practices, 5 years, 10 years. It takes time, right? We come to the mat every day or however often you practice with so many different life,
Yeah.
work, family, kids, and then to come onto the mat and turn that all off, it takes practice. So that's where that mental strength comes in. But I will say, when you start to practice a regular, consistent routine, you'll start to see that translate in the way you approach people. I think you'll be a little less edgy. You'll be more mindful in how you speak. You're more aware of your body when you eat. just when you move through life, right?
Yeah.
You are more in tune. And again, it doesn't happen overnight,
Yeah.
right? We all have the days where we don't eat well, we don't sleep well, we don't drink enough water. Stress is, sitting in our body. Things are mentally going on, stresses of just everything. So, but building that consistent, like, okay, today I'm going to get on my mat. Come hell or high water, I'm going to practice. That is going to translate in just so many different facets. I'll give a quick example of my dad. He has been practicing for many years, and not that he was ever mean, but he was just very wound up, very like just tense, very kind of rigid in his ways. And he started practicing this 90-minute hot yoga. And over the years, we've just seen him lighten up. He's parasailing. He's, rolling on the floor with his grandkids. He's not taking things so intently,
Just free.
just free, right? And it's kind of like things are still obviously very important, but there's a little bit of like, okay, I'm gonna let it roll off my shoulder, take care of it in a little bit. And so I think yoga helps us unwind and just like process and prioritize. So you start to see that day after day that you show up on your mat. And I tell students two things. The hardest part is coming through the door. That's the hardest part, is getting onto your mat. The second thing is if you come into the studio and you lay on your mat and don't do any physical movement, that's still practicing yoga.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I would share, is that you come and you're going to see the benefits physically and mentally.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And you mentioned your dad and just being like free and how he's kind of like changed. Would you say his like personality changed, or?
I wouldn't say personality changed. I would say he's definitely himself. The things that are important to him still are very much a priority, but the things that would really just set him off, they don't matter anymore. Because I think you start to see the bigger picture, and that things are temporary, right? And if it doesn't happen right now, it'll happen in 10 minutes or the next day. And so I don't want to say his personality changed, but he's a lot more cuddly now, and it's fun to talk to him. It's fun to like share things with him. And, he's not so like in his head. He's not so, I don't want to say like angry. He just was very much in his head.
Yeah.
And now he's just,
yeah. No, that's awesome. So no, I'm curious to like see if, if like yoga just maybe unleashes something or unwinds you more, and or if it actually like changes you, right? And
I think it does have a change. I can't say, I can't say, yes, Sujay, you're going to change. You're going to be a different person. I think only you can say that, right? I can speak for myself that I know my yoga practice has changed me. Yeah. And I will say, last Friday, I got on to the mat to practice. I just came off a knee surgery, and I got onto my mat after almost 5 weeks, and I couldn't physically do one of the postures quite yet. And I broke down into tears. However, it wasn't a tears of like, oh, sad me, poor me. It was like a release of all the things that I had been kind of, because I hadn't found that time for movement and breath. And so I can say that getting on my mat is my form of therapy. It's my form of release. And each student comes to that differently. And that's at their own pace. That's their own journey. And that's when you step into the studio at Union, it's yours. I'm not here to take any credit for it or I don't want it. That's yours. You be proud of it. You share that with the world, because that's you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's not like a change, like flip the light, you're a different person.
Yeah.
It's like a gradual change.
And the cool thing about that is like any change that matters, any change that you want takes time.
Yeah.
Right?
For
like
sure.
any change that's permanent takes time. And so I feel like, even like having been lucky to like study the philosophy of like yoga
Yeah.
for some time after college, and understanding yoga, understanding this, um I think it's one of those things that you're not going to be able to see overnight. You're
Mm-mm.
not going to be able to judge yourself in a month.
Mm-mm.
But and part of it is like the discipline, the consistency,
Mhm.
like the qualities that you build even just
Yes.
doing that,
Yes.
right? And committing to something for a long period of time.
Yeah.
That stuff also changes you, right? So there's like a
100%.
lot of different things at
Yes.
play. But I think it's really cool, and the point I wanted to drive from this is like, like picking up something that's not just for like day to day,
Mm-hmm.
that's not just for like, hey, like, bread oriented,
Yeah.
right? And picking up something that's for yourself, truly for yourself, will allow you to like, honestly, I feel like enjoy life
Yeah.
more because now you're present.
Yeah.
And I do also think that it's going to make you more powerful, right? Because like when hardships come, when challenges come, it's not to say life is always going to be perfect, but you're going to be present. You're going to be able to like take it head
Yeah.
on, or like you said, like even when you're like when feedback comes,
Yeah.
like I sit there and I look at the feedback and I'm like, you know, take
Yes.
it, or okay, cool, thanks for letting me know,
Yeah. Move on.
and move on,
Yeah.
right? And so like that ability to in that moment to like think and feel and be present without letting your emotions just erupt and take over and dictate,
Yeah.
right? Like who you are. At the end of the day, we become a slave of our emotions and
Yes.
desires.
Yeah.
And these kinds of things, whether it's like meditation, like actual physical yoga,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, like these things really like help us in
Yeah.
our life and make our life just better
Yeah.
overall, right?
Yeah.
So
You're right.
relationships and all of it.
All
So
of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's so awesome. No, this is really cool, and I obviously we can talk all day and
Yeah.
stuff, but I wanted to ask you a few questions at the very end.
Yeah.
You take away the business, all the stuff, and at the very end of it all, like
Mhm.
what do you wish that your kids would say about Pooja, their mother, right? Especially like with everything that you had endured and the journey
Yeah.
you've been through. At the end of it all, like what do you want them to describe you
When you
as?
bring the kids in, that always brings out the tears. I take this question with me every day when I wake up. There are days when I leave for the studio before the kids wake up. There are times when I'm not home when they go to bed. And so it's something I carry with me a lot. And especially with Leela, she's a girl. She's very much my little carbon copy. And so when I think, 10, 15 years down the road, I hope and I pray that she sees that it's okay to be scared, but it's even more amazing to be brave and step out of your comfort zone. Um, yes, we live in a very unique time right now. And I pray that even Aman, that they know that things won't have to happen right, chronologically based on what society deems for us, that it will happen in its own time. Just trust yourself, trust your instincts, trust the people around you, lean on the people around you, and always just be curious. And I hope, these little breadcrumbs I might be leaving for them help set them up for success. And they can see that there's no age or no right time. And it
Yeah.
comes when you believe, right? When you believe in yourself. And that's what I just constantly every day try to instill in both of them, that just be you.
Yeah.
Be you.
Pooja, I would be very surprised if they didn't get that from you because you're doing all the things. And so it's so beautiful. If someone wanted to reach out to you
Yeah.
and just say thank you, say I love you, say, like ask you how,
Yeah.
what, or, come to the
Yeah.
studio, what's the best way to kind of get in touch or, find the
Yeah.
studio?
So we are on Instagram. It's at unionyoga.powell. We have a website, unionyogastudio.com. If you want to contact me directly, you can email me at pooja@unionyogastudio.com. You can find me on Instagram at Pooja Kots. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just come find us, or we're in Powell by the Giant Eagle.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yay.
I love you
I
so
love you
much.
too.
So
Thank
this
you
was
for
great.
having
Yeah.
me.
No, this was fun. So
Yay.